Hello and welcome. I hope the chair is not too squeaky when I am talking, but today I wanted to talk about my new Angis design Gen 2 of this little teeny tiny, focus on my face, scalpel knife. I think I haven't done any videos about those or talking about the engineering and the thought that goes into each and every one of those. So today I'll just showcase and talk about what the things that I made, the decisions that I've taken, the feedback that I listened to, and how it differs from Gen 1. Sadly, I don't have the Gen 1 for myself, shoemaker without shoes. And yeah, so we will look just at Gen 2, so let's go to the table. Sorry for the chair if it is squeaking way too much, but it'll have to do with that what we have. So this is one of the orders that I got. Adam, if you are watching, this is your knife. Adam actually lives in USA, but his wife is Lithuanian, so he chose the paracord option with the Lithuanian flag motif. On my website you can choose a lot of different paracord options, but most people just tend to go with the black because, you know, black is always classical and looks good. So yeah, I offer it with many paracord options, and actually the paracord itself is very integral part of the knife itself and the idea of the knife. I'm talking about the idea of the knife is to be as small as possible, as carryable as possible, and the carry part is very, very important and integral into all of the design motifs. And it should be a fixed blade, as I wanted to have a fixed blade that is not a burden to carry and to compete with folders, as folders are so easy to carry and they are very handy, but I just wanted to have a fixed blade option per se. So talking about the carryability standpoint, the holes are actually for aesthetic reasons and to reduce the weight of the blade itself, and to make it as light as possible. Not only the holes are added, but the stock is chosen to be 3 millimeters thick. That is not too thin, not too thick. I think it's the perfect thickness to do any kind of work, but it's not too thin that you need to baby it on every step. But it's still pretty thin if you want to hold it ergonomically and to use it and just the way it feels in your hand. So the paracord serves multiple purposes. First is the aesthetic, as Angis. Angis is the only venomous snake in Lithuania. Basically translates into viper, and this acts as the scales of the snake, as the tail, as the scales, to give it a aesthetic look. It also gives the blade thickness. It almost, I think it even more than doubles the thickness of the blade, so you can feel it more tightly in your hand. And the knot at the end is also very important. The carryability and the size aspects also dictated how long the blade should be. So I chose it to be almost full grip and to increase the size for bigger hands. The knot serves a very, very good purpose, as it gives you this tactile end point. Even if you have bigger hands, it acts as a extension of the handle. And the paracord is much lighter than the steel itself, of course, so you gain more width, thickness, and more length of the handle just by adding paracord. Of course, it adds to like a little bit of more labor, but it adds customizability, some pizzazz, and reduces the weight and gets the point across. Continuing with the carryability standpoint, I think The sheath is one of the most important things on a knife, especially if you are talking a fixed blade, and a good sheath makes the blade carryable, and the blade that you carry is the most handy for you because it's always at your hands and you can use it. So I think the sheath is oftentimes by reviewers a overlooked aspect of a knife, which for me as a knife maker, it's very sad because you put a lot of thought and effort and engineering into each and every sheath model, and they just get overlooked. So in this case, what we have is a thin piece of Kydex. It's 1.5 millimeters thick, so thinner than your usual 2 millimeters, which actually really saves on weight. It's very slim. If you look at down the profile, it's very, very slim. It's wide, but it's wide enough for carry options, but it's not very thin. So if you the profile view, it's pretty slim. For opening options, most people really want a thumb notch right here, but in this case it's not an option, as the knife itself, it's very thin. It's 3 millimeters thin, and if I would make a thumb ramp, it would be very narrow, and your thumb would not feel comfortable unless I would flare it out, and that would compromise the thickness of the overall package and the carryability of it. So that goes against the grain of the engineering of this knife. So I skipped on that to make it very slim. Even if it would have a thumb ramp, that would act more like a hook in your pocket. That would not be very good. So I went another route, and actually the easiest way to deploy this knife is actually not like this, but like this. And on purpose, because it's only 1.5 millimeters thick Kydex, I left these corners of the Kydex a little bit sharp. Not too sharp, but they are pretty steep, so you get traction for your thumb to disengage the sheath, to just remove it, and that's pretty nice. The Kydex mold itself is a little bit bigger on the inside to prevent scratching the beautiful blasted finish on the knife. And also you can see the retention point is pretty small, as this is a small knife. It's not very heavy. When you are just moving it around, it won't fall out because it doesn't have enough mass, so the inertia is pretty low. And it needs some time to wear in, especially because we are holding on like a profile that is 3 millimeters thick. So these retention points are very shallow, let's say. If you have a knife with scales, the retention cavities are much larger and you have more real estate. So when you get the knife, you will see some flaking of Kydex here, but it's basically wearing into your knife, and it will become easier and easier to engage and disengage from the sheath. And that is to be expected. This is engineered for longevity, and it must be done so to just serve for a long time. The next thing are these mounting holes. These are I thought about the best possible mounting options, and I came to the conclusion that I really like the Ulticlip system, especially the slim ones. There's Ulticlip Slim 2.2 and 3.3. So just put it aside. You can mount it an Ulticlip like this, the 2.2 and 3.3. and you can have a deeper carry in your pocket, especially with a 3.3 ulti clip. You can really put it deeply in your pocket, and most probably the top will peek out of your pocket, and that would be pretty easy to pull out, especially if you're using jeans. Another pretty sweet thing that you can do is actually use a scout carry and mount it with especially with a 2.2 ulti clip, mount it like this and have it on your belt. So it's a very low profile blade, and it's useful for people who are using them in the office. Office warriors who like to open packages. It's very low profile, it doesn't draw any attention, especially in these times. People don't really like in an office environment a bigger blade. So this is an alternative to using a folder, having this. Of course, if your shirt is very short, people will see that on your belt, and that is not optimal, I would say. If you are using a hoodie, this is a very nice option to carry. And of course you can do a reverse carry on yourself, like mounting it like this. That would be great for hunters if you want to have a small scalpel for that small work, skinning and etc. Especially if you can just remove the paracord itself, wash out the blade. It's very easy to maintain. And you can add another paracord, or you can use it without paracord. Some high visibility paracord is great for hunters, and so you won't lose it. And you cannot be afraid, like you won't lose it. The Kydex sheet is pretty strong, even if you are carrying like this. So I think that's about the sheath. I put a lot of effort into it, and I really like the simple, streamlined design of it. It has a nice tactile click to it, easy to remove. And it was an overall improvement of the original design, which was very small profile, but did not have as many carrying options as this one. Now going to the blade itself, the biggest feedback that I got was actually people wanted it to be a little bit larger. And it's actually larger by one hole, which you can see really gives you more real estate, as it would end here, the knot would be here, and that's like a teeny tiny bit too little. So I increased the width. The previous version had a harpoon tip, and while using it I noticed that I really wanted to put my thumb over here. And so I added jimping, removed the harpoon tip, and now it's like you can do some really fine things with it. And even the blade length is increased by a little bit, but enough to give you more oomph for your buck. The price is the same. I wanted to keep it as my cheapest model, to be available to as many people as possible, to just have the ability to buy something from me. It's below 100 euros, it's 99 euros. And yeah, going over a little bit more, I have added machined chamfers that are not 45s, they are a little bit steeper to make it more streamlined, and a lot of testing went into that to make it feel more comfortable. The very front of it does not have a chamfer, just to have this sharper edge for scraping, anything like your basic EDC needs. So you will have that place with a sharper angle, and you don't have to use your edge to scrape anything off. I also left the orange peel finish of the, I hope the camera focuses, I left the orange peel finish of the steel, original steel on itself. I removed just enough to remove any burrs on the knife profile, but I really wanted to make it so that it looks like it was made from something. You know, if you buy knives from big companies, they look like printed, they look all identical, they look all the same. And this I wanted to look like it was made, actually made, not printed. So I left the orange peel finish. I think it looks rather unique and nice. Sometimes it's pretty hard to leave it on because you just wanted to even it out, but I go the extra mile just to leave it there. And of course I left some of the satin finish scratch marks on the blade itself, just to showcase that I am grinding each and every one of those. So all of these are made by me. I do everything except I just go to other people that do the laser etching, of course. And of course, the very important thing that I changed was the steel. The previous Angis Gen 1s were made from 3mm ABL. And yeah, you don't, like, I chose N69 here. And it is very well heat treated to 60 HRC. It's not your usual N60 that is very soft and very gooey. I chose it because it trades some of that toughness that the ABL has, because it's not as important to have a tough blade as such a size. It trades with edge retention, wear resistance. So it's also easy easy to sharpen, not as easy as ABL, but still very, very easy compared to other super steels. But it holds an edge longer, and I think because we have like this not very big blade, the edge retention is very important. I might do some high-end steels versions in the future, but currently the main idea, I make working knives, and working knives get dull, and I want for my customers to make as easy as possible to sharpen those. So that's the main idea. If people want, I will do some M390, LMAX maybe blades in the future. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. But I really like that my customers can have very sharp blades, and they can sharpen it on their own, and they will use them then. Like, I don't see the use and purpose of having a high-end steel that you spend a lot of time sharpening. And that becomes, like, for some people that's meditation. For other people it's just a maintenance chore that you need to do. And I think the tools need to serve you, and you shouldn't serve your tools. Of course you should care for your tools, but the main idea of a tool is for it to enable you to do something. So, and also what I make in this workshop are these box inserts that each and every one of these blades come in. So this is also made in-house, made by me. And I also make these small, I don't think I have one here. Oh, I have one. This is a used one, certificate. It's from other knife. Where you have like a stamp from me, done with, if it focuses, I don't think it will, made in wax, and it just goes beautifully into this place, and you get it shipped in a cardboard box. That is not made by me, but it's a pretty nice box. So these are also made, so people tend to imagine like they are so removed from the actual creation process that they can't even imagine how things are made. They just think they appear in Amazon warehouses and get shipped to them. But these are made, and all of those get final touches and etc. like that. So yeah, I really put a lot of effort into thinking on how to make this knife, how to make it as good as possible, how to make it as carryable as possible, and to be as handy as possible for each and every like use case that is possible in like urban environment. You can even neck carry it. So yeah, that's about it. I think I mentioned all of the important parts. If you have any questions about this knife or why I did something in one way or the other, please leave a comment. Leave a comment if you have one of those or if you want one. If you want one, I will leave links to my website in the description of this video. But that's about it for today. Thank you everybody for staying for such a long, almost 20-minute talk. And I'll see you in the next one.